Hello everyone, this is some yummy Caribbean rum cake with a butter rum glaze. I cannot wait to share this very simple recipe with you. These are our ingredients. We're going to be using some rum, of course, some vanilla pudding mix, yellow box cake mix, some Coco Lopez, and I'm going to explain to you about that Coco Lopez, some eggs, vegetable oil, some butter, and our pecans. All right, are you ready? Let's get started. So first, what you want to do is we're going to be using 1 cup of chopped pecans. Now this recipe is pretty simple, but there's definitely some steps that you want to do to make sure that your Caribbean rum cake comes out exactly how you like. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you're a returner, welcome back. My name is Devon, and this is my channel, Cooking for the Family. And I am making this wonderful Caribbean rum cake. I always like to make it at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year. To me, it's definitely a celebration cake, or it's also a great cake if you have someone that loves like that Caribbean flair with the rum and a little bit of that coconut in there. This is a great cake to treat them with. But this cake can definitely be made all year round. So what we're going to do next is we're going to start with our yellow cake mix. And that is just plain yellow box cake mix. Now to that, we're going to be adding some vanilla pudding mix. And the vanilla pudding mix that we're using is the 3.4 ounces, which is the 4.5 cup serving. Okay. Now once you put your pudding mix in your bowl with your cake mix, turn your mixer on, give it a stir. I just like to blend that cake mix and the vanilla pudding together, so that way they're just incorporated together before we add in our other ingredients. Okay. Now this Caribbean rum cake recipe was shared with me by my good friend from Panama. This is a recipe that she gave to me about 10 years ago, and something that she would always make during celebration and parties and gatherings. Now next we're going to put in some Coco Lopez. Now Coco Lopez is cream of coconut. My friend told me this is what you want to use. You want to use the Coco Lopez. This is the game changer in the Caribbean rum cake. So I follow her directions and I use Coco Lopez. Now for whatever reason, if you cannot find this Coco Lopez in your market, you can substitute it with regular coconut cream, or also you can do a water. You can do a 1/2 cup of water. Now with the Coco Lopez and with most cream of coconut, you want to shake the can first like I was doing, and then because at the top you're going to have a layer of the cream and on the bottom is going to be the liquid. So you want to shake it up first, your can, and then I used my spoon and I just kind of moved around most of those coconut cream chunks. But when you're adding it to your cake, you want the cream, you want those little chunks of the coconut cream as well, you want the liquid, you want all of it, okay? Now once we do that, we're going to add in our eggs. Now we're doing 4 eggs, and those eggs are at room temperature, and you want to add your eggs in one at a time, okay? Now while our mixer is going, we're going to add in our rum. You can use any rum you like. I like to use dark rum, and that's what you want to use. You want to use dark rum, but you can use any brand that you'd like, okay? And that's a 1/2 cup of that dark rum. And you just let everything blend on low. You see how I have my mixer on low? You don't want to rush your ingredients coming together. You want to blend it on low. Then take your spatula and you want to make sure that any ingredients that have gathered at the bottom of your mixing bowl, you want to make sure that you break up any ingredients that tend to gather in our mixing bowl. And hey, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Go on and hit that subscribe button. It's free. And if you like this video and appreciate the content, don't forget to show it some love. Give it a thumbs up and click share, and share this video with a friend or family. Now once all of your ingredients have come together, your batter should look like this. It's going to be a beautiful yellow color, and it's going to be nice and smooth. You shouldn't have any chunks at all in your batter for your rum cake, okay? It should be nice and smooth, just like that. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to be using a tube bundt pan. Now this tube bundt pan is a 10 cup. You can use either a 10 or a 12 cup tube bundt pan. Now we are putting our chopped pecans that we had earlier, that's 1 cup of chopped pecans, in the bottom. Now our 2-bump pan, I sprayed it with some non-stick spray very liberally, okay? So you want to make sure that you do a nice spray. You get that inner tube, the outside ring. You want to make sure you do a nice good spray of that non-stick spray, okay? And you can also do non-stick spray and then follow that up with some flour as well. So you can also do the non-stick spray as well as flour. You can also grease your pan, grease your tube bump pan, and then also put flour on top of that, okay? You can do any of those combinations to make sure that your cake doesn't stick and it comes out nice and clean. Now while we're doing this, I have my oven. It is preheating on 325 degrees, and our cake is going to bake anywhere from 50 minutes to 1 hour, or until it's nice rich golden brown on top. And you also want to use a tester and make sure that when you use your tester that there's no cake left on your tester when you test your cake after about 50 minutes, okay? So our cake is ready. It's ready for the oven, and it's going to be put in that 325 degree oven for about an hour. Okay guys, so our cake has baked in the oven for 60 minutes. It is a beautiful golden brown color. And now we are going to let our cake cool in the pan just like this. We're going to let it cool for a minute, and while it's cooling we're going to work on our butter rum glaze. Now this butter rum glaze that I'm going to show you how to make, it's important that you follow these steps in order to get a nice smooth glaze, okay? You want a nice smooth glaze. And so in my pan, and you want to use a heavy bottom pan, in my pan I put 1 stick of butter, and you want to melt your butter in that 1 stick of butter, which is also half a cup. To that we're going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. Now for the butter, I'm using salted butter. Now if you don't have salted butter, if you're using unsalted butter, you want to make sure that you add a pinch of salt, okay? Because you want to balance out a little bit of that sweetness. And so to that I added also 1/4 cup of regular water. So in my pan I have that stick of butter that I melted. Then once the butter was melted, we added in 1 cup of granulated sugar. I'm mixing it all around, and also to the pan we added that 1/4 cup of water. And you want to start mixing and blending everything around. What you want to do is you want to dissolve those granules of sugar, okay? So you want to dissolve that sugar. So while I am doing this, my pan, my flame is on a medium heat, okay? And so just keep mixing and blending just like that. You want to mix and blend, and see how I use the back of the spoon as well? I'm using the back of the spoon because I'm feeling for those granules of sugar. You want to make sure that you're dissolving your sugar, because we are making a nice kind of like a syrup, a glaze that we are making to go on our cake, okay? And so as our pan starts to boil, you see those boiling, you see the little bubbles that's creating around the edge. Once you get to that point, stop mixing. You do not want to mix for the next 8 minutes. So set your timer or be looking at your clock. You want to let the sugar and butter and water mixture boil for 8 minutes without stirring. The reason why you do not want to stir at all during this process is you do not want to introduce any of those sugar crystals back into your glaze, okay? Now once our butter and our sugar mixture has boiled and it's become nice and frothy like it is now, and what basically has happened is that boiling of the butter and the sugar and that water has created a nice thickening to that mixture, and it's going to create that nice glaze. And so you don't want to mix it until it's been exactly that 8 minutes, okay? Now it's nice and frothy. Now I'm adding in my rum, and this is a 1/2 cup of rum. Now prior to adding in my rum, turn off your flame. You do not want to add your rum while your flame is going on, okay? So you turn off your flame, and so I turned off my flame, and I'm adding in my rum, and I'm adding it in, and I'm stirring it. And as you see, I added in the rum just a little bit at a time. I added in about 1/3, and then that second third of rum, and then the third of rum, okay? And so again, my flame is off when I started adding the rum, and you just mix everything around. And as you see, your pan is still going to be very hot. You're going to have a lot of that residual heat already in your pan. So you just add your rum and you keep mixing around, and what's going to happen is as it begins to cool, the bubbles will go away and you're going to be left with this nice buttered rum glaze for your cake. And that is how you make a butter rum glaze, okay? And so while this is cooling a little bit, and as you see the butter rum glaze, those bubbles have went away, the frothiness has went away, and it has just given us that nice glaze that we wanted. And so this is just a little chopstick that I have, and I go around the cake, and you want to punch some holes in the cake. And I just do about maybe a half a dozen of holes with the chopsticks, and I'm going to go back through and I'm going to make a little bit of an additional holes around the side, and then I just take that nice glaze, and it is still warm, and I take the nice warm glaze and I drizzle it all around our cake just like that. This glaze is so good, it is so yummy. This glaze, you could just top it with put some vanilla ice cream and top it with this butter rum glaze. It is that good, y'all. And so we're just going to use our butter rum glaze. Now we're going to use half of the glaze right now while the cake is still in the pan. Then once we have that about half of this glaze that we're going to put on it, we're going to let our cake cool and sit a little bit longer in the pan for about 15 minutes before we turn it out. Also, another important step is before I started putting the glaze on the cake, what I did was I loosened up the sides. I jiggled my cake around and I loosened up the sides with, I went around with a little knife on the edge and on the inside ring, and I loosened up my cake first. So my cake was loosened in the pan prior to me adding the glaze. Then we're going to let, after we put the glaze on, you're going to let your cake sit for 15 minutes, loosen it up again, and then we're going to be able to turn it out, okay? So we have put the half of the glaze on. I have my cake pan here. I've got the rest of the glaze that I have put right there in my measuring cup, and we also have a brush. The cake pan is nice and cool to the touch. We're going to, you can use any pan that you'd like or any dish that you'd like. I like to use my little pedestal one. We're going to do it. Now when you do it, you want to make sure that you flip in one smooth motion, okay? Flip in one smooth motion. You want to rock back and forth and lift up your pan just like I did. And this is our cake. It looks so great. You can already see some of that buttered rum glaze has soaked right there into our cake, but we are not done yet, y'all. We are going to take that remaining glaze and we are going to brush it right on our cake just like that. We are going to take this nice glaze that we made, we are going to dab it all over our cake, and we are going to just let it soak, and we're just going to let that delicious glaze soak into our Caribbean rum cake. And with the glaze, I end up using what's left that we have. I end up using the majority of it. You can use all of it if you like. You can reserve a little bit on the side for people to drizzle on their cake. Either way, it is your choice. But we just going to go on and put the rest of this yummy glaze all over. We're going to let it go down the sides. We're going to brush it on top. And you want to be mindful as you're brushing it on the sides that you don't want to lift up too much of your pecans. A few of your pecans may lift up while you're brushing, but you want to be gentle with your cake and just put the rest of the glaze all over just like that. Now my friend from Panama let me know that they traditionally will serve the cake with some grapes dusted with powdered sugar, some whipped cream, and some maraschino cherries, and they serve up this delicious Caribbean rum cake. Well, we have glazed it up nicely, but I think it's time for us to go on and give this delicious cake a try. This cake cuts so nicely, y'all. It's got that nice upper crust of those pecans just right there nestled on top. And the aroma coming off this cake, y'all, the aroma is just that butter and that rum. And this is what our cake looks like. I'm going to go on and give y'all that first bite. It is nice and moist. This cake is nice and soft. Get some of that glaze right there. This bite's for you. Let me try it. Oh my goodness, this right here, y'all, this Caribbean rum cake, y'all gotta give this a try. It is so good. I thank my friend 10 times over for this recipe and sharing it with me, and how she uses that Coco Lopez as that little ingredient right there that makes all the difference in this Caribbean rum cake. Well, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Go on and hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video and appreciate the content, don't forget to show it some love. Give it a thumbs up. Click share. Share this video with a friend or a family. Well, that is it for me today, guys. And remember, it is always good when Devon is cooking for the family. Happy New Year. Bye-bye, everybody.